Greetings and salutations, Earthlings. Zube here with kind of an overlook for the day. Um, there are a few things that for today that kind of concern me, right? So I'll describe what they are in the astrological terms, but then I'll kind of tell you what I feel like you might want to look out for. I think it's going to be a really like what the fuck kind of day. So the moon is in Sagittarius, and the moon is going to be transiting the south node. Um, and the moon in Sagittarius really is like a big picture kind of thinker. It's generally feel good, but it's going through some really hard aspects. It's also squaring Neptune, um, which is in Pisces. So it's like you might have uh, really big ideas or deep insights or what feels like big intuition, and it's just not a good time to trust it, right? It's also not a good time to like drink or escape in any kind of way. Um, I don't, you know, and I don't drink at all because I'm really I'd say bad at it, but I was got pretty good at it. And I'm not saying it in that kind of way, right? I'm just saying it's really not a good day to like use escape type of things, even if for you, that's not like a problem. You know what I mean? Because we could, it's like we might be stuck in the past and how things used to be. And there's a possibility that today we're just going to be like, what the fuck is reality? Anyway, like this is not real. Okay. Um, and Mercury, so Mercury represents our mind, and the way we think, and our communication and stuff like that. And there's like nothing exact really going on right now, but Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, and it's called a personal planet because it moves really quickly, fortunately. So when it gets into tangles with things, it kind of uh goes really fast, which is why Mercury retrogrades are so sort of like infamous or whatever. Is because when Mercury slows down and retrogrades, we kind of notice it, and it's time to like go back and re-examine stuff. Um, but it happens, three, sometimes four times a year. And I don't actually see them as bad things. I see them as good things. Whoa, I'm digressing. But anyway, so Saturn is at 2 degrees of Aquarius, and Jupiter is at 5 degrees of Aquarius. This doesn't really have to mean anything to you, but I'm going to explain that. You'll get it in a second. And Jupiter and Saturn are much further out and move a lot more slowly. But Mercury is at 3 degrees of Aquarius, so it's like right in the middle of those two. And then you have um, Uranus at 6 degrees of Taurus, which Taurus squares over to Aquarius. And squares are tough, right? Squares are like little arguments, or big ones depending on how we make them. And Mars is at 1 degrees of Taurus. 1 degree. That was cute. Um, Squaring over to Aquarius. So you have Mars at 1 degree Taurus, Saturn at 2 degree Aquarius, and then Mercury 3 degrees Aquarius, um, Jupiter at 5 degrees Aquarius, and Uranus at 6 degrees of Taurus. So it's like our mind is like smack in the middle of these like big players. Okay. That's tough. That's tough. Um, And on top of that, the moon, which moves even more quickly. I mean, every 30 days it goes through all the signs, but the moon is moving in a square with Neptune that makes us question our reality. So, like, our mind is getting pummeled with, like, I mean, there's, I won't even go into what each planet means, but like, there could be like shocking developments. There's this fire of, I want to do this and I want to make this happen. And then there's restrictions and authority. And then Jupiter's in there just blowing it all up. Um, Possibly being a know-it-all. Fuck. This is okay. So I've laid out that it's like a tough day astrologically, but here's what you could do. Um, we've still got Venus in a trine with Mars, and that's like really good for masculine, feminine energies among other people and also with ourselves. So Venus and Mars are getting along right now. You could have like creative conversations with the moon in Sagittarius. It would also be a good time for like a creative outlet, maybe write in a journal. Um, about how, even how fucked up your day is. Like right now, I think it's a good time to outlet some excess energy of the tension that's building up. The next few weeks are going to be crazy. I feel like crazier on the outside, but today feels really crazy on the inside. Um, Let me pull some cards and see what we get there. Do these guys today. If you're having a really hard time, like reach out to somebody. Because this feels a little insane. Um, yeah, and just because I know I have a lot of friends who are in recovery, like if you're feeling like using or relapsing or whatever, or if you're using or whatever, this is just a really difficult day emotionally. All right. And if you need to deflate your circle, um, I have to do that to keep my sanity. Um, and what I mean by that is like draw your world in a little bit, okay? If that means like keeping yourself okay. I know in some of the hardest times in my life, instead of doing that and pulling in and taking care of what I could control, I would like reach out and look at how and for confirmation of how fucked up the world is so that it like so it would make sense of why my world was so fucked up, right? But I couldn't it was just not a good idea. It's natural. I feel like people do that. I mean, the inside reflects the outside to a degree, and it gets complicated when you have an entire world reflecting out inside out to the world. Okay, um, but when you draw in, you've got to make um, that sounded bossy, but it's better for me to make my world manageable, okay? Because if this is aligned and okay, then I can walk through more difficult things. But this has to be okay. Shuffle one more time. Yeah, I'm concerned about people today. Tomorrow too, but today mostly. Juggling. Two of Pentacles. So the Two of Pentacles is about, and yeah, this is what I feel like. It's about balance. Pentacles is earth energy, so it's like the real world, material stuff. our money, our job, our hearth, our home, our just even 3D reality in our spiritual life or our mind, inner and outer. Yeah, it feels like a real day of juggling. The card can mean, finding balance, but I also kind of feel like it's highlighting that there may not be that balance. Um, the Eight of Pentacles. Oh yeah, we got two here. The Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles is about, so in the Rider Waite deck, which I usually use because I love the imagery, these are just like pentacles and but keep working. It's, in the image on the Rider Waite deck, the guy is looking down, he's sitting on a bench, and it's pentacles also. So it's that earth energy still, it's that reality stuff. The stuff we can like touch. Um, but he's working on on a project, and he's just got his head down, and that's all he's doing is he's working. And I think stay focused on what is in front of you and what you can work on yourself. Do something productive, do something that feels good for you. And that's kind of, this was the second card. This card represents you, juggling. This card is kind of the external card. So what can we do on the external? And then the overall theme for the day that I got is the Five of Swords, and that's conflict. The swords are air energy. That's mentality. So it's like thoughts, um, the way we think. The Five of Swords is also conflict. There can be some conflict, internal and external, but I think I just think it's a good day to make the circle that envelopes you, draw it in, you know. Um, Community. So what I like about this, look, take care of each other, you know. Um, be with people who care about you. Um, if you see somebody struggling, take care of them. Um, you can choose your community. I think it's going to be a rough day here on Earth, individually, like internally, possibly. Sometimes difficult aspects hit like my personal chart or your personal chart in a good way. That's why individual readings are, um, that's why people do individual readings, right? Because each of our own birth charts are affected by the planets in the sky a little bit differently. But by looking at the planets in the sky, we can just sort of see some general energies. So you may see this around you. Definitely keep an eye on people if you're feeling good, if you're in a good place. Um, take care of one another. All right. And love you. Peace. Namaste.